shouldn't be. Should know it off by heart.
Yeah.
I'm putting off live again. See.
You're on Nico.
Are we ready to go, sir?
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome along to our monthly meeting. Few new faces, and Tony's going to take a photograph of them. But anyway, we'll get on with things. Time was on us. Last is no. We've got an apology from Bex. That's the only one around. So, someone moves that, please.
Yes.
I'll second that, please.
Move and second it. Favor say aye.
Aye.
And we're looking for any extraordinary do business.
Yep, whether or not to submit on the Selwyn Water Limited.
Thank you.
And I have some resolutions that I'd like to bring forward.
Okay, yeah. I had one here, but it's going to be answered by Steve in his report, so that gets rid of that one. We'll move on then. Any change to the elected members register?
No.
Okay, number 5, correspondence. ECAN. Yeah, that was in the public forum. Was that from last week? Was it last time? I don't think about that. Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Sorry, I thought you were others before me.
No. Well, okay, so you'll be here for public forum. Thank you very much. Are you ready to go?
Danny, is the PowerPoint? presentation
Oh,
okay?
that's right.
That's fine. You got it on the computer?
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I certainly feel not a problem. Well, thank you, Board, for letting me come and speak to you for a few minutes today. My name is Claire Fletcher. I'm the Senior Engagement Advisor in the Public Transport team at Environment Canterbury. And right now we are running an engagement campaign called To Bus or Not Bus. The purpose of this engagement campaign and why I thought it was so important to come out and have a chat to you is to gather feedback to enable two things. We're doing a route review of every route across the Greater Christchurch area, which includes townships of Selwyn District and Waimakariri District, including Darfield, because you have an existing service here that travels to the city every day and back again. Its purpose is also to develop a 10-year strategic plan for public transport across the Greater Christchurch area. So that is the townships of Selwyn and Waimakariri and Christchurch District as well. So that we essentially can ask for funding to enhance and build and grow the network as our communities grow. And you are all very familiar with the fact that our areas are growing exponentially compared to the rest of the nation. So just to help you understand those in the room where the areas are that the public transport network operates to. Greater Christchurch area is here marked in yellow on this wider map, and that map with the yellow on it is actually the districts of Christchurch City, Waimakariri and Selwyn district. So you can see that the transport is focused on the major urban areas using the Greater Christchurch spatial planning boundaries as our boundary. However, this engagement is also looking at Darfield because of the existing services included. Again, you know that the growth in your area is massive across the district, and that's part and parcel of why we need to be looking at this strategic planning now. There's going to be growth of over 700,000 people in that area by 2050. And actually, just recently, TomTom, which is a traffic index group, have just evaluated congestion across 500 cities around the world. And in New Zealand, they have just found Christchurch as the most congested city in New Zealand. So we really need to look at our public transport system, review it. The last review was in 2014. So you can imagine at that stage, we were very much in recovery. And now we're through our recovery stage from the earthquake and we're into enhancement. We need to look at where the community has moved to since that time, where the new subdivisions are being built, and the areas in which we are not accessing at the moment that we may need to in the future. So it's really important that we do this, gather this information. So we're taking a two-stage approach to this engagement program to understand how we should review the network and develop a 10-year strategic plan. And right now you would have seen online or maybe in your local paper, a campaign called To Bus or Not Bus. And what that is doing is running a survey at the moment where we're asking our community what's working around the public transport system and what's not working. And if you don't use public transport, why not? What is it that's not working for you or that you need it to do to make it a viable option? So that will run until the 24th of June, and I've actually got some paper copies of the surveys here for you. We've also dropped a Dropbox into the Darfield Library, the Rolleston Library and the Lincoln Libraries. From March next year, we'll develop 3 options for a 10-year plan and come up with the proposal for the network review of the current network. That'll be like a 3 types of opportunity, 3 types of model. There'll be like a gold standard, a silver standard and a bronze standard in terms of how much funding we would need to deliver them. And then we'll consult on it next year, either through the long-term plan, if that is still active for Environment Canterbury, or another mechanism. We'll consult with the wider community on those 3 options. And the purpose of that is to understand how much funding we will need so that we can then go and secure it with NZTA. And this is the reason why. So for those in the room, this is the funding model for public transport. The green area is rates, either targeted or general rates. The brown area is actually grants and funding from New Zealand Waka Kotahi NZTA. And that fawn area there, that very small slither, is actually the cost recovery of fares. So as you can see, the majority of the funding of public transport comes from rates or government funding. In order to secure that government funding, we have to do business cases every 3 years for our current network and any enhancements that we want. So in order to do that, we need to come up with a strategic plan for the next 10 years and do a network review. So we've been running the survey for 2 weeks. Prior to doing that, we actually went and had a look at 13 different consultations and surveys from the 3 districts, ourselves, Christchurch City, Selwyn District and Waimakariri District, and we put them all together and analysed the feedback that was specific to public transport. And in that information, we received over 500 comments about transport in Selwyn District. And online now, if you go to our website, ecan.govt.nz/metro review, you can see these neighbourhood stories. So they're across they basically mimic the community board area. Of those 500 comments, 88 were from people in Darfield or about Darfield. So we've got that analysis already, but we actually want more from the community. So I went and had a look at the statistics of the survey that's been running for 2 weeks. We've had over 4,900 surveys completed in those 2 weeks across the districts. 534 are from Selwyn District, but the reason I came to see you is there's 26 from Darfield, 7 from Curlee, and 36 from West Mountain, and you've got a bus route. So I'm asking today that you help us get the word out, help us use your networks to encourage the community to fill out the survey. I know that being connected to your community is highly important, and gathering your community's feedback is highly important to you. I saw that through the annual plan this year, and that's why I'm coming out to ask for help. I've got plenty of paper copies here for you to have and take away with you. There's a drop box at the Darfield Library that we will empty. They can also do the surveys online, and I really encourage you to use your ability to network into the community to gather their feedback so that we hear more what they need and what they want out of the public transport system, and also build that in looking at the growth here as well. That is in a nutshell why I came to have a chat to you, to ask for your help, to gather feedback. Also, just a quick incentive, anybody that does the survey and gives us their name and email address, and it automatically goes in the draw to win one of 3 $300 grocery vouchers as well.
So just so everybody knows, the Darfield route is 7 o'clock in the morning, it goes, or about that.
Yeah, it's a commuter service, so it leaves
Back at
around.
night.
Yes, so there's 2 trips that leave in the morning, one from Darfield and one from West Mountain. They travel both into the bus interchange in Central City, and then there's one service, and I'm only been in the role 2 weeks, so I'm not sure if there's 2 buses or 1 bus, but it comes back out at the end of the day as well, about 4:30 in the afternoon.
I've got a question. As part of ECAN's work out here, has any a survey been done to determine how many people you commute from Darfield and Curlee into Rolleston and Christchurch on a daily basis? Because it's information we lack as an MCB board, and it would be handy to know.
Personally, my gut says yes, there has been, but I don't know what the official was. But what I will do is I will go away and find out, and I will get it sent to you.
That'd be really cool if you could. Thank you. Be interesting to know how many commute versus how many actually use public transport to get into town.
Public transport to get into town from Rolleston is really high, particularly at the moment. You may have heard my manager, Stuart Gibbon, on the RNZ the other day. We've got patronage went up 10% in the last month. The month before that went up 4%, and you can thank Mr. Trump for that. Yes. But patronage in Rolleston is really high with the park and rides, and that's why we've had to put on those extra services, and we will figure out how to do that again with Bentley coming out of Rolleston. But the service here is really highly used as well. We had to put double decker on to manage it.
Yeah, but it would be interesting to know how many in total commute, because one of the questions where this feedbacks into is where developers are looking out here and they're suggesting that Darfield is a major employment centre.
I saw that.
And I'm sort of thinking, well, hey, it's probably not a major employment centre, because I suspect many people commute into Christchurch. It would be nice to know the facts.
I have a question.
Any other
With
questions?
with the significant growth planned, has ECAN considered commuter trains?
Yes, so we call it mass rapid transit, so it can look like trains, or it can look like extremely high frequency services as well, or it could even look like trams sometimes. And there is a long-term plan for that, and there is a website which I will send you the link to. I couldn't find it this morning, which has all of the previous business proposals that have been developed to look at that. It is definitely something in our regional land transport plan to move to over time, but this 10-year plan won't have mass rapid transit or trains in it. What it will do is set us up to get there, because we need major business cases to the government and major government funding to enable it, as the current lines aren't necessarily in the right places for where we know people want to go. But it is great to see we've got trial services out for events at the moment. Well, not we, sorry, the rail system does. But that's a really great way to see the uptake for those kind of events and how they operate.
Yeah, having used the commuter bus, it's sort of quite convenient, but not that I use it a lot, but mostly it's, in my view, school-aged children on the trip in, and then on the trip out, because it's 4:30, it's not really a commuter service for people working in Christchurch, because they're still working at 4:30, and then I just sort of wonder, there's a dearth of school students on the trip on the way out, so they must have some alternative mean of getting back. And I was just thinking about what discussions have occurred within ECAN in relation to sort of maybe a more useful alignment. So if the service went in at 7, most people can manage that, and then maybe coming back at 5:30.
That's a really good perspective. And what we're doing at the moment is we're actually going out with a survey first, asking the community what do they think first. And we've got technical data about what's working and what's not working. But before we amalgamate that all together, we actually wanted another opportunity to ask the community. So I would encourage you, Councillor Berry, to put your feedback in around that in the survey, but also encourage others. If the issues are that the service timings don't work, or it's being taken up by a lot of students trying to travel, we have opportunities of how we can look at managing that better or enhancing it so that more people could use it. But we really need that feedback to come through.
Agree with that. And then the second part of the question was looking at the fact that the rates portion, my understanding is that's a targeted rate for Selwyn.
It's a combination, yeah.
Is there a, because I'm parochial, is there a targeted rate for Tarwera Melbourne? Or is that something that people can put in the feedback?
You can put that in the feedback, absolutely. I'm not
Because
over
most
yet.
of the services go to Rolleston and Lincoln.
Yes, there is a targeted rate for Darfield for the public transport service that's offered here, but there's also targeted rates offered for the vehicle trusts. So the way, if there is, I can't remember if there is a vehicle trust operating here.
Yes,
There is,
Yeah.
there we go. So there will be an additional targeted rate for that. And that will go to a wider group of people. It'll go further rurally. And that's to enable that community vehicle trust to operate or be help with funding to operate it here.
Thanks.
Claire, can I just comment that the percentage of fares to the total cost is not minimal, but it's insignificant. What does it cost to go from the bus in Darfield, say?
So at the moment, if you've got a
For a
Metro
dollar.
card, if you've got a Metro card or a Motu Move card, it costs you $3
Return?
one way. So $6 return. If you are traveling, and that's for all of your transport within a 2-hour period, it's $3. So if you're transferring off the Darfield service onto another one within that 2-hour period, you get the next trip free. And then to return home at the end of the day or outside of that 2-hour period, it's another $3. But once you've spent $6 for the day on the network, the rest of your day is free.
And the Winston card works.
And the Super Gold card makes it free too. So you can travel for free between 9 AM and 3 PM weekdays and all day weekends free if you've got a Super Gold card.
Yes, okay. So it's not a question of charging less to get more people on because it's quite less enough already.
And actually, we're one of the cheapest in New Zealand for public transport, off like the fares.
All right. Well, any other questions from the board? Well, thank you for coming along, and we'll get out to our towns, our residents associations, and
Lovely, that would be brilliant.
get them.
Great.
What's the deadline for this again?
24th of June.
24th.
So we've got another 4 weeks,
Okay.
and I'll leave these surveys with you as well if you'd like paper. Right. Thank you for seeing me today.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
coming out. Appreciate it.
Say hi, Stuart, from me.
Before I move to the confirmation of minutes, I'd just like to we've now got the hard copy of the submission that we want to make it. So we'll take that probably after Alex's talk, I think. All right, so if we just make a note of that, it's coming up. Thank you. Item number 8, confirmation of minutes, last meeting. Any comments that not correct in this? Not, could I please have a move and a second?
So then move we accept those minutes.
I'll second it.
And that's with the addition of apology from Councillor Berry.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you. All right, all in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Against, go, thank you. Item 9, actions from previous minutes. Chief Executive, Steve, to
Yeah, so if they haven't been completed, they're covered in my report. So happy to talk to them in my report if you're comfortable to move on.
yes, thank you. we'll now move on to your report, Steve.
Thank you. So got a couple of guest appearances just to give you a bit of an update. So I'll invite Hannah up to the table just to provide a bit of an overview of the community health engagement. You've been briefed on this a couple of times, so there won't be a big discussion from Hannah, but it's just a chance for any further questions that this board might have before the process kicks off. So Hannah.
Welcome, Hannah and Catherine.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having us this afternoon. As Steve said, is that we've spoken to you before, so I won't go into a huge amount of detail around the engagement, than to remind you that it kicks off on the 8th of June. We really appreciate getting out to your community and letting them know, hey, this is happening. And also to have a very brief conversation around if you would like to be involved in the facilitation or the engagements. So we welcome Malvern Community Board members' involvement in this process. In terms of what we're going to be cracking into, we've got 9 community meetings occurring over 6 weeks, drop-in sessions and stakeholder meetings. This stage is about listening, not deciding. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be there to listen to what our community wants for these community halls. We see that there's probably 2 main roles that Malvern Community Board members could participate in, but if you have a different idea, we're open and we're flexible to having a conversation around that. The first one is a listening role and the second one is a facilitator role. So listening, the benefit of that is that you can almost be a bit of a floater in the meeting. You can walk around, you can listen to lots of different groups, you can ask questions, you can be part of it and listen to what everyone in the meeting says. The other benefit is that you can show up on the day, just let us know that you're coming, and you can be there and then you can leave, and that's the extent of your responsibility there. If you would like to be a facilitator, the benefit of that is that you get to go deeper with one particular group of people, but there is a higher level of responsibility there. So we would need you to actually facilitate the conversation with the table, and that would also mean that you would need to meet with myself outside of this meeting, so I can teach you how to do that and how we would be doing it. So what we would recommend is the listening role. We think that because of your broad understanding of the community, people will want to talk to you, and it might be better for your role as a board member to be a bit more flexible during a meeting and actually be able to have a conversation with someone. If there's someone who really wants to have a conversation with a board member, means that it gives you that flexibility to say, hey, let's grab a cup of tea and we can talk one-on-one while this other thing is happening. But again, we're flexible and we're open to how you would want to do this. So I'll pass it over to you. The key things that we're looking for today is, would you like to be involved? If you don't want to be, that's absolutely fine as well, but you can be. And then 2, what would you like to do?
All right, well, can I just comment from the chair that we want to be involved, and we have been involved with each hall committee, or like I've been involved with Greendale Residents Association and Darfield for that matter too, but all members have been involved, and it's a hot topic.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there are plenty of, I don't know if we're going to get any new ideas, but we're going to get reinforcement of the other ideas we already know. Yeah. And we can get that through. So open it up for discussion.
Yeah.
Alan,
Yeah, I have some serious concerns, because council are being asked to judge the profitability, if you like, of the halls based on the draft report and charges that were given. But just on this one alone, there are heaps of mistakes. We've got items that are billed to the Sheffield Recreational Reserve, which is not the hall. We've got items that are billed to the Sheffield Domain, which is not the hall. They shouldn't be there. On the electricity and gas bill, I'm trying to figure out how we've got billings here for the hall, and we've also got billings for the adjoining play centre building. I don't know, I can't tell if there's any cost recovery on the play centre building, which is currently used for the toy library. So if we're going to ask council to judge whether communities halls are so important to the communities, if we could look at that, we need to make sure we've got accurate information. And at the moment, I'm very concerned the information we've given isn't accurate enough. And I have asked Steve for that going back 5 years for Sheffield and Springfield Hall so that I can do a deep dive into it. Second part of that, looking at the suppliers of services to council, and it may be that council have got arrangements with them, which is fine. But looking at this, like there's an air conditioning supplier who I'm assuming looks after the heat pumps. We're using a supplier based in Bromley. I'm sure we could probably find someone in the Selwyn district who can do that and keep the money spent by council local. And I'd like to, again, doing a deep dive, is find out where our purchasing is being done, and how much of that money can be kept into our local businesses, because council is one of the biggest spenders in the district.
I think, Alan, I think that they all represent the type of engagement and the feedback and ideas we're expecting to get from each of the unique halls. So I don't think those questions are inappropriate at all. The case of timing is probably when we get to giving council some decisions to be made. I think your point will be well addressed at that point. The idea of we want to engage, because that's, as you said, the community understands how these halls work as well, and sometimes maybe better than council does because they're living there. So look, I don't disagree. I think it's just going to be a case of timing.
Yeah.
All right.
No, it was a useful meeting held out at Springfield, Sheffield the other day, and a number of councillors were present. And I don't know how you put a dollar value on how passionate the communities are about their halls, and I don't think that a straight out economic review of whether to keep a hall or not properly values that.
I don't think this approach is purely economic. It's the hearts and minds as well.
I think what you have got as a council of staff and a council is that we have, when the halls were taken away from the communities, I talked to a guy this morning with a coffee shop. I was on this committee for 40 years and it went, not one word of thanks. Now, at Greendale last time, one member said he outlined his family's involvement. I'm pretty sure he said 65 years. Now, it was his granddad. And these are the kind of things that we're going to have to overcome now, because they feel they've been shot in the foot, and the bureaucracy said, we can do it better than you, and look at it. It's now going to shut them. So there's a lot of good rules made up.
Not shut.
Oh, well, sorry.
Not shut. Just to clarify, this is about actually, to your point, this is actually about ensuring better and greater community ownership and engagement in these facilities. Rather, it's not a shut or open conversation. And I think what we're doing and what we want to do through this engagement process is make sure that the community does have an incredibly loud voice in this, because of some of those experiences in the past. And they will be different in different communities, but we want to address that uniquely. Cool.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Are there any other questions for Hannah? Other than that, thank you, team, for coming out. We look forward to you kicking this off. It is going to be a very well-watched process, I can assure you.
Thank you. We look forward to having you participate.
Thank you.
So just in terms of a little bit of info in my report, Bob and Emma were out at the meeting last month talking about growth in response to Alan's very good questions. And so what we wanted to do is also within the report share with you the level of tracking information that our team are keeping about both residential growth and resource consents, and there's also the population-based data as well around community profiles. So there's a really great suite of information that sits on our council page. There's links in the report. I don't think we need to take any questions at this point, but if you do have any questions of council, by all means pass them straight to Bob, and he loves answering questions. That's why he's here, because he knows that's what his job is. Thanks, Bob. What we've also done too, and I've just road tested this with Councillor Berry, is that we've got the dashboard of Snap Sensol budget performance, and I've worked with John just to make sure that that's generally what it is that you are looking for. And so after this meeting, we'll send you the link that you can then get approval to, and then you get access to all of that information, so you can see what's open, what's closed. You can go back a couple of years. So that will then start to give you more information to then direct any questions back to me or my team. I've got the Parks and Reserves team here. They're just going to come because we know that the Sister City Garden had a decent couple of goes at it, but we needed the right people in the room. And so invite the team to the table and here to talk about any questions you've got around Sister City Garden. These are 2 actions that were on the action list. We got the experts. Over to you, team.
Experts, that's right. No, Jordan, I think I've met most of you previously. I think Alan and Evan not had an opportunity to catch up with you previously, but
The best to last.
yeah, looks like. Thought it was a good opportunity to come out and talk to you around what's happening with the Sister Cities Garden. Also introduce you formally to Charlotta, who's our Senior Reserves Officer for the western part of the district, so looks after you guys. And also very quickly let you know we've recruited someone to be supporting her. They'll start 2 weeks' time. So you're going to be getting a little bit more visibility from the Parks and Reserves team, which is great. On the Sister Cities Garden, we've had a couple of conversations with Samantha and provided some information in Steve's update around suggested species of tree to go in there, which is being directed from our arborist based on size, scale, location, and what is already in place. Highest chance of success, because unfortunately the trees planted out the front here of the library didn't stand the test of time. So it's a good opportunity to get something into that space that will.
They need a bit of soil to grow, just an old roadway, not.
Yeah, I don't think it was quite the right environment. So hopefully we'll have better luck here, and we'll keep a close eye on it. Charlotte has also worked. I'm not sure if you've got the green tick back yet on the translation and the wording for the new plaque to go in as well. So if there's anything you want to add, Charlotte?
Yeah, so there's one plaque that's been from the tree that's died. The new replacement tree is going into Tussock Square with the relocated plaque, and then a new plaque and a new tree, or new plaque, new tree is going in for the 10-year.
That's right, to replace the
anniversary.
tree in front. Yeah,
Yeah.
is the 10-year anniversary plaque and the tree. Brilliant.
Well, it's good, so we'll get it in the right time of the year to plant it. Sort of,
Yes.
spring, August, September. Well, meant to be a drought coming worldwide, so get it in.
Yeah, the plan is spring. Yeah, give it the best chance of bedding in and surviving, and we'll keep a close eye on it to make sure it goes well.
Can I just make a comment, other than Sister City? People judge a township or a town, at that matter, on the condition that the gardens are kept in. Now this year in particular, it rained all January, February, and half of March. And in May we had no rain. But we had a lot of comments about Cord, the contractor, was not mowing the reserves low enough, often enough. That's something I want you to look at, perhaps. Is that your department?
Yeah, that is our department, and they are our contractor for the Parks and Reserves. I think you're right. The unseasonable, or the change, almost the change in seasons,
Well, completely different.
yeah, completely different, and is in defense of Cord has made their job very, very challenging, with huge amounts of growth, and just getting on top of that is difficult. The way our contract is written is an outcome-based contract, so they get X amount of money. They have to deliver Parks and Reserves within a certain specification at all the time. However, there is a clause written in those contracts, which is X number of mows per year. So if we say 36 mows a year, and then we get a huge amount of growth, and they get in there and they do extra mows, those mows come in at extra cost to the ratepayer. They sit in day work. So there is definitely a balance. There's some challenging growth conditions for them to stay on top on. But to your initial statement, I absolutely agree. I think my kind of ethos is that parks and reserves are our community's gardens, and our libraries are their living rooms. So they are what people see, they are what people care about and what they judge. And I think
and then you know, a person like me wonders how things don't get done. Like, for instance, in the Holland Reserve in Darfield, there's a tree planted in a plaque beside the Year of the Volunteer by the late former Mayor McKibbity. All right? Now, it's a tote tree. There's two tote trees in it. It's one's going to, and of course, a bird sat in the darn tote tree and dropped the pizza plant. And you got the specimen tree there, and no one's thought to take the other one out. And it's gut beside now. Now, you know, how do you get that kind of service, common sense?
I think that's where you snap sense
Yeah.
of him.
Oh,
Yeah.
I go and pick it out half the time.
We've got, we've got
that
the same thing at other spots with volunteer
Yeah.
beech trees sitting amongst the
Yeah.
tussocks, and you're quite right, Evan.
Yeah.
I mean, I can go down there and see a volunteer beech tree growing the tussocks, and it shouldn't be there. Pull the bloody thing out. Beg your pardon.
I've one been there a bit longer, like either we pull it still here.
Yeah, I think, I mean, Steve's hit the nail on the head. It is snaps. If we don't know about it, we can't do anything about it. And
But we do know about those beech trees, Charlotte.
All right, well, I mean, those are the kind of things, they're the kind of things that people see not being done and say, oh, what's gone wrong, you know.
yeah, and I think that on that, if you drive around our district, I'm sure you will do all the time. The majority of our parks and reserves are looking very good at the moment. There are obviously things that get missed. You know, we're a team of 10, working with our contractors and working with increasingly well with our community to build trust and build relationships. So people can give us a call, even if it's not snap, send, solve, and we can get a solution and work with them to get that done.
Yep. Can I ask a couple of things? First of all, is it possible to have sent to the various community groups a work schedule for CORD so that they know when they're going to be in the area and doing things? So they can figure out how often the lawn should be mowed, how often, you know, signs need cleaning and stuff like that. And secondly, as a bouquet, I was at the Colgate meeting on Tuesday night, and how highly thought of you are, Charlotta, for the work you do out there. So you and your team have done a great job, and that planting day recently was wonderful fun.
Yes, it was a really good turnout.
Yeah, but on
And
the
it's
same
up to
time,
the community for having that commitment to
Yeah.
come along and put the
Yeah.
effort in.
I don't know if you noticed that the boundary fence, however, has holes in it large enough for sheep to come through and eat some of those plants. Is it part of your remit to replace the boundary fence?
Yeah, I suspect, I don't know off the top of my head exactly what the maps tell us, but I would suspect it probably is. So we can certainly go and
Yeah, if you could pop
Yeah.
out and have a look at that,
Yeah,
would be
yeah.
appreciated.
definitely.
Thank you.
Looking, I can't see any major issues with us sharing a component of that contract around the level of service expectation.
Yeah, I
Let
think-
Kieran and I go away and have a think about how we
Yeah.
might do that.
Probably finding the way to best
Yeah.
communicate that is key.
Yeah.
And we can work with CORD and figure that out.
Great.
All right,
Thank you.
yeah, John.
Yeah, just in response, would like to sort of just publicly acknowledge that there was a snap send solve sent in relation to Glenroy, and it bounced between the council, NZTA, Environment Canterbury, and went on for a sort of large number of months. And then an email to a certain person that I won't embarrass by naming managed to get it resolved. So what it was, someone had dumped some dags and sheep manure at the side of the river round about the bend, and ECAN probably were the ones that should have taken responsibility for it and didn't. NZTI can understand that they're the roads, not the reserves next to it, but the excellent service that was delivered from Selwyn District Council was that at general expense to the ratepayer, but I think for the improvement of the district and definitely to the appreciation of the residents in Glenroy, that the rubbish got removed, and there's a nice happy community up there, so thank you.
I'm always happy to help.
All right, can we move on then? Thank you for
Yeah.
coming along.
Thanks, team.
Thank you.
Thanks, Karen.
Appreciate it. So the last point of my report, board members, is seeking your approval for the budget to go into our annual plan. I'll put a bit of a summary at the back end of the report. What we're needing guidance from you is whether or not we include $26 plus GST or the LTP approved figure of $27 plus GST, and there's a bit of a summary as to what the impact on the operating reserve will be. We've talked a little bit too in preceding this, and I think the budget is appropriate at this point, but around the mileage claims, that it will bring back a report next month around, I think, supporting you in defining what you believe and what you're confirming is what our board meetings are, and therefore how do you run approval for who goes to what board meeting, especially in the current fuel situation at the moment, and we hopefully are seeing that tailing down at the moment and getting back to some degree of normality at some stage this calendar year. But we're needing to manage the budget so you don't draw in too much onto your reserves unintentionally. So
Well,
that's-
can I comment that I think we should go to $27, and that lines up with a 10-year plan, and it's like it's $4,500 a year budget that we've got to work
Yeah.
on.
Hmm.
Can I move that from the chair?
Can I raise a discussion point
Certainly.
before we agree?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's best to discuss it now with regards to the budget line item for the communities.
I think if we let the mover and the seconder, then we can start the discussion.
Okay.
So,
I'll second it.
okay, so moved and second and then discussion.
Okay, thank you.
The discussion around the line item for the community service awards. So last month when we had an action to start planning for it, MCB met and put together a budget, and it was difficult to understand where that cost sat in the previous year, or the previous event. So the last time the event was held was in 2022. And when I tried to go back on the record to find out how much it cost, it was difficult to see the line item in for that event, and also if the cost was assigned to MCB at all, which I don't think it was.
Was it 2022?
2022.
Because the last awards of 2025, 24.
24, I thought. That was, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Will I look back in 2022? Maybe I should go back to
I think we
2020.
find Spencer's 2024 was the last one.
As well as 2022.
It would actually be easier if we had a separate line item under expenditure for that.
Yeah.
So that we can budget it on an annual basis towards it, so it doesn't come out of our budgets in 1 year, so it's spread over 2.
I think I only had time to do 2022. I can find it in there, but I can go check 2024.
All right, so we've got a resolution. Is there any further discussion of the resolution? That we increased to $1 including GST. Well, all in favour, say aye.
Aye.
That's
your report, is it?
that's the guts of my report. Happy to, if there's any other questions. I think to Samantha's point, we've been trying to help, but I think this is an event that has been solely run by the board in the past, so some of that detail doesn't exist in our council
Okay.
records outside of individual transaction line items. So if we know roughly when, I think it was October 2024, John?
Yep.
From memory, we could look at September, October and November expenditure line items and the financial reporting and see if we can tag any expenses that look like they were there, but
I guess
there
the
isn't a
question
line item.
is,
We can put a line item.
oh yeah,
in,
well, that's the
potentially,
question for the board is, do we want to add a line item in
but
there?
it won't come with it'll just be under general expenses so that there is a line item that expenditure can get put to.
I see.
John, yeah.
My thoughts would be, as it occurs every second year, it should have a separate general ledger code.
Mhm.
My recollection was in 2024, there was, in the transition period, that it was a board responsibility, but the arrangements were done by the council.
Yeah.
And then there was a little bit of argy-bargy. Well, if you're going to say we do it, but you do it, don't charge us. So I think that the figures are there, and it's really a matter, in my opinion, for the board to think about this time round and saying, well, how do you want to, maybe not at this meeting, but how do you want to run it? It's up to the board to make the decision, I believe, to say it's their event, they'll organise the catering and everything and the costs involved.
Yeah.
And then my suggestion, I think I already said it, that because it happens every second year, it probably needs to be a carryover.
Okay.
Yeah.
all right. Thank you. Well, Steve, that's Steve's report, and we moved that thing. So the next, Alex is on next, is he?
Yes.
Yeah, when do you want to take our submission that the board put in for the
Well, I think the timing is really, it makes sense that you bring that item of general business forward once the team has presented. They can then answer any questions, and then you can then ask the team to leave, and then you can discuss your submission and approve it.
Good afternoon, Alex.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much for another opportunity to come here and talk to you. It's always very useful for us to engage directly with the board, so thank you. I am joined today by Heather and Nisha, who are going to be we're going to be sharing some of the slides. You're going to get a copy of these as well. I think we had some challenges with the technology, but you will get a copy of these, and there is this is also available on our website. We'll have just a handful of slides to kind of set the scene, and then we'll open up for some kind of general discussions and questions. So, Heather, would you like to run it?
Hi, thank you for inviting us along. Really enjoying hearing some of the conversations that happened before our session. Gives us a good indication of what's happening across this particular ward. So thank you for that. So the water services strategy is obviously the big document we've got out at the moment with you, and we're really encouraging the community to engage on that document and provide some feedback for us. So our water services strategy is very similar to a long-term plan, but it's focused on drinking water and wastewater services, and it's our roadmap for delivering that over time. I think what's really important about this particular strategy is we've designed it to be a 12-month strategy, even though it goes out longer. That allows us to then realign our strategy next year to the long-term plan, which the council is currently working on. The purpose of that is also then to allow us to assess the asset data and understand a little bit more about how we can put the systems, the people and the processes in place that can really ensure from the long-term perspective we can provide great water services to the community. When we come back out with our water services strategy, obviously we've got pricing in the one we've got at the moment. When we come out for the second one, that's when we'll look again at the pricing. So that'll happen each time we come out with our water services strategy. There's quite a lot of challenges we face. Part of it is around making sure that we keep services safe and reliable. That's been our #1 priority this whole time. So while we have been implementing new systems and processes, we have maintained the services to make sure that we meet those requirements, that they're safe and reliable. Growth is outpacing capacity, and we do have to consider what that means. While it's a great problem to have, a lot of other councils around the country don't have this. Becomes challenges that come with that as well, and we really need to think about how we're going to respond to those. We've also got aging infrastructure that we need to consider and how we maintain reliability around that. And with this environmental responsibility, we've got to consider the resilience of our infrastructure as well and make sure that it can stand the test of time as we go through the different climate and environmental challenges that we face. And financial sustainability is key for us. We need to make sure that at the end of the day, we're delivering our drinking water and wastewater services to the standard that you need, but also that we're ensuring long-term affordability. So if we go to the next slide, which has a little triangle. So what we must balance, so there's always going to be trade-offs, but what we won't trade off is public health and our regulatory compliance requirements. Public safety is number one for us. Reliable services and renewals, we need to maintain that as we go through delivering our services. We need to ensure that we support growth and resilience, and we also need to make sure that we have an affordable service that we can provide for the community. There's continuous pressure on that to make sure that the infrastructure matches the services the community needs, but also the cost to deliver that infrastructure doesn't outstrip the community's ability to pay for it. So if we go to the next slide, it's got a little watering can on it.
You want us to take any comments as we go, or do you want to go right through this then take comment? What's the
Right.
plan, Alex?
Yeah, we might just, we're in your hands, so whatever works for you.
We've got 3 already, and I've got a couple of questions.
Okay?
No, okay.
Go-
Maybe
go on,
we should do that.
Well, just been going is you set up a new business, all right?
Yes.
How do you staff, some of which are new to council, get information to work out affordability? Right. I mean, how do you do that?
With time and with diligence. So what we've been doing as part of this transition is to do a fairly thorough due diligence process with everything that comes across from the council to Selwyn Water. So far, there has shown some kind of interesting opportunities that we are trying to, turn into some benefits to the community. We are not going to be able to do all of this within the next couple of weeks, so that's why we're setting up, a 12-month period. There's things like property, which I know that Alan, you've been making some inquiries.
Yeah.
There's quite a few topics that need to be discussed and agreed, and the implications are significant. So if that piece of land that you were inquiring does not transfer to Selwyn Water, then we'll have to identify what debt was, how that land was purchased and financed, to make sure that we don't kind of end up transitioning the debt, but not the asset associated with that. So there's a few, so there's what, and also we know that council and the through their annual plan engagement, I think, John, please correct me if I say something out of turn here, but have flagged the intention for the new long-term plan to be quite a different one, and I think there is some discussions already underway. So we need to make sure we're not going to get ahead of ourselves, right? So that's why we don't want to kind of commit to any kind of pricing increases or anything like that past those initial 12 months. And we want to work closely, and we are working closely with the council to identify those opportunities that, as I said, range in terms of system, processes, dates, and ways of operating. So we're taking a cautious approach. We want to deliver some good value for the community. And like, as you said, with any business, it's understanding your customers, understanding the market, and make sure that you build things as you need them. So in terms of the resourcing, which I think you also touched, we haven't launched our kind of new organizational structure, right? Because we want to understand what are the services that we need to provide and how, before we resource too soon up front, and then we end up with kind of a redundancy cost if we find out that that's not what we needed. So we got a core team of about 25 people that majority have kind of come across from council, and then they have been also supported by another probably 15, 20 experts on different disciplines, where it might be, systems or
Are they full-time employees of Selwyn Water Limited?
a whole range.
Some are contractors.
Some are contract coming in. So as we identified what the services are that we need to provide and how we're going to be providing them, then we will, build the organization. But so essentially, rather than build big and then reduce, we're building small and adjust as.
I've got a petition in Parliament at the moment that's still active, if you haven't signed it. please do.
Let me know what it's about.
I'm asking for a law change.
Yeah.
To allow councils to be able to charge a levy on any water extracted for commercial export sale.
Yeah, we talked about this.
So, so please keep aware of that, because if we could get government to accept that, then that may have some long-term impacts for you.
Yeah, and if I may follow, we had a couple of discussions with Alan about the commercialization of some of the products or byproducts of what we do, and that very much going to be part of our new water strategy, right, which will come and align with the long-term plan. So essentially, I mean, I think that the way you need to look at this, and as Heather was saying before, is a starting point. It's essentially kind of transitioning the same things that the council were doing across, but applying a fairly kind of thorough, due diligence as we do the transition, like you would expect with any business. And all of the ideas that we are gathering for the community, they're going to be fed into that kind of future model.
Cool.
All right,
You're doing a good job.
okay, we'll carry on.
I thought you said you had 3 questions. It's just 2.
Had two.
2, okay. I'll carry on then. Okay.
Well, I was going to ask you about affordability.
That's right. We'll carry on. Otherwise, it's Heather and Nisha are I'm gonna get in trouble with them. So they're very organized.
So what your water charges actually cover. So obviously we've got our day-to-day operations, which are running at the moment. And then we've got our regulatory compliance aspect as well. I think what's important about that is we already do quite a bit in that regulatory compliance space, but it's going to get more. So Te Mata Arawai and along with the Commerce Commission are going to put more requirements of us to make sure that we're reporting in on that. So that will over the next 12 months, we'll see that increase. Debt servicing's critical as well. So there's an amount of debt that's transferred across from Selwyn District Council to Selwyn Water. So we need to make sure that we can service that debt, and there's some quite stringent requirements to make sure that we don't borrow too much to be able to service it. So that makes sure that we can do that long-lived infrastructure and changes and share that across generations. And then, of course, there's the asset renewal aspect. So we need to make sure that our infrastructure stays in good shape so that we don't end up in a situation where we kick the can down the road and then we just pass on that problem later on down the road as well. So that's what your water charges actually cover.
So in terms of asset renewal, what I would regard as repairs and remediation, personally, and amongst all of us, if we haven't got the money, we don't do that. But in the past, when I look at budget lines within Selwyn District Council, we found repairs and renewals are actually allocated under a capital borrowings program. So the rates have actually virtually never in this district covered repairs and renewals on water infrastructure. Now I understand that, and you've explained it there, that the legislation says you can't borrow for that. That's got to be funded by the users. So that's quite a change. And when people are looking currently at what a step change might be in the increase in water charges, I would caution them to actually go and do some homework and have a look at that, because that's where a large amount of the step change in rates increases is coming from, is repairs and renewals that have been proverbially kicked down the road or funded from borrowing.
Yeah, that's all the fun of doing this for the first time, and we are working closely with the council to identify the true cost of providing those services. The other thing that is, I think, relevant to what you're saying is we have commissioned a asset condition assessment to be done in all of our assets, so that we move away from kind of a desktop exercise, and we have a couple of experts going to the sites, look at the operating, looking at the actual condition. That would allow us to then determine whether a renewal process, our budget provisions are appropriate for what we're trying to do. Hence why when we present kind of pricing over the next 10 years, we want to make sure we have some solid information that is current and it has been verified before we start having those conversations, because it could be quite confronting, I guess, when you take all of that from your rates and you've kind of find out how much was that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So I'd be keen to actually have a conversation offline, probably along that asset condition assessment and asset management along those. I've got considerable expertise in that field.
that's great. We are trying to build as a very solid foundation for the infrastructure, so that we have the right data, the right condition, the right budgets. And on the point that Heather made before about the day-to-day cost, there is a contract with court in there, which we're also scrutinizing at the moment to make sure that we get, kind of value for money in terms of, any work that need to be tendering. And I think I talked to you a couple of meetings ago about we want to bring a slightly more commercial focus to the way we do this, and we want our procurement process to also take into account, local resources that can be used. If we're doing, some work in Arthur's Pass, and there is an electrician there that could, do some of the work. As long as we don't compromise the standard, we want to kind of promote that so that some of the money stays in the region.
In the smaller areas like that, we would be keen to be able to participate in the management of those facilities. I know you have to have some training in terms of being a water technician, but quite often we'll get a call saying conserve water because the UV treatment plant is tripped out. Well, it's not a particularly hard job to be able to go up there, flush it out, clean it, and set it, reset it. And so there could easily be a group of people that are resident in Arthur's Pass that could attend to those sorts of things. So some of that community involvement in that service delivery would be welcomed.
100%.
Well,
Sorry, I had a question of Alex.
we'll just put it up. We're going to go through the rest of these.
Yeah,
things.
sorry.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Alex.
We've got a very good chair that just keeps us on track. So thank you for that. Yeah.
What page are you on, Alex?
On page 6, right, the one with the graph. Yeah, that one you're looking at. Heather and Nisha listed the two nice topics for me. So these two slides trying to explain that transition from a cost that were contained within the rates across into being kind of water charges, and the water services delivery plan had envisaged and that aligned with the long-term plan year 3 had envisaged a 24% increase for water. Through that data validation, some improvements in the way we operate, we look at a couple of those kind of non-cash items within the budget. We have managed to slightly reduce that 6% to the 18% that we are currently engaging with community about. As Heather mentioned in the previous slide, this reflects the kind of the true cost of providing the services and maintaining the infrastructure. It also reflects the rising cost of compliance and also renewals, and a significant part of that is debt repayment. So just over the page, and this is one slide that I will like you to look in quite detail, even if it's not now, in your own time, because it has been part of that community feedback in terms of understanding this, is the long-term plan year 3 had envisaged a 13.3 increase. Council had been consulting through the annual plan consultation on a range from 4.9 to 6.5. We are consulting on an 18% increase, and as I mentioned before, about 3/4 of that is day-to-day operations, and about 23% is interest repayments, and then 2% for renewals. So depends on where you are and what services you receive from the organization and the council, your combined average rate increase will be around 7 or 8%.
Thank you.
If you come over the page, this is a little bit of a kind of just an update for the board. I talked last time we were here about, you talked to us about the need for openness and transparency and clarity. So I'm pleased to report that this is available.
It will be very soon.
Tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. And
My concern is, how do you get this to the ratepayers?
We will be communicating through, we will take on billing from the 1st of July. So that when people start getting those first invoices from us and others, they will be getting this information pointing all to the.
Are you going to account every 3 months, or is it every month you're going to get an account from you?
We at the moment it's going to be every 3 months, but we want to move quickly to a monthly. Right, because we are hoping that our we are testing some technology we want to kind of deliver to everyone so that you can see what your consumption is in the same way you might do with your phone. You know, you see how much data you use and how many calls you make. Well, we want the same thing with water. We believe that's going to help us to identify leaks early, will help us with the maintenance, will help us with consumption, will also help us to kind of increase that kind of water literacy across the board so people can understand what.
So the monthly billing, is that being done on the basis of monthly readings, or is it done on 3 monthly readings in aggregate?
We are looking at smart meters.
Yes.
Yeah. So I did it.
that's
You can do it
like
as often as you like it. Yeah. And I think Arthur's Pass is one of those areas where we might be doing that test first. So
well, it's perfect because it's a small place. You can whatever you use, you will see a result very quickly.
And we want to make sure the systems connect properly and that we got the reliability of the data. So we're hoping that will help us also reduce our electricity cost and a number of other things. So back to another risk of repeating myself too often. That is why we need a little bit more time to make sure that we are able to reflect all of the feedback that we have received from the community on the strategy in terms of visibility, affordability, reliability, and so on.
So Alex, on page 8 about the capital works program, and you've listed some of those projects there, and so you've taken the Colgate Reserve over from council. It's reservoir. I mean, people are on site now, so today
Is it the same job? I take it.
Yes.
It is.
Yeah.
$7,539 being spent on Colgate. That's a lot of money
on the reservoir.
That's the budget. It might not.
The reservoir, yeah.
If this was, I mean, if we were on the live site, you can click on that and it will tell you where we are with against expenditure.
That tenders been let for that work, and I've been on this. Was it a competitive tender, or was it just a negotiated price?
Off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you, but I can respond back to you.
Well, going forward, this board will be asking you time and time again.
Yeah,
while I'm here,
going forward.
Tendering.
Correct. Yeah. No, that's what I meant. I think earlier when we said that, you know, that there is a commercial element dimension that we bring to this. That there's a contract with court for our kind of maintenance and the servicing of pines and that kind of stuff, but then all the kind of extra work will be tender like.
I've got some questions related to pines that I put through a legoima to council and haven't had a response yet. What capacity is Pines wastewater treatment plant running at the moment? You know, in terms of out of 100%, how full is it?
Well, it depends because it's for example, if the All Blacks are playing and everyone is watching, no, seriously, at half time, everyone goes to the toilet and flush the toilet, and then you get, you know. So we are coping just about right now when we had a big weather event. So it is close to capacity, but it's not like it's always full, you know what I mean? So the challenge we have is with drought, and that when we were at the rec center last week, then I was asked that question. I said that's probably the one thing that keeps me awake at night. Is wastewater capacity.
Well, this is all tied up with it because we've got so much projected growth for Darfield. You know, I mean, I want to know where the bio solids are being sent and how much that's costing the ratepayers on a per truckload basis and an annual cost. How much capacity is there in the system for more biosolids to be dumped in the repository, and can we get copies of the resource consents?
Yes, to all of that, and I think the team is working on together with the council on some of the answers. But in terms of the bio or you know all the kind of solids, it depends also on the quality of that. Right. So if we are able to get the plant to perform better,
Yeah.
right, then your disposal options change.
Right.
Right, so I think the problem sometimes is that if you're not allowed enough time for that to be dry at the right, then your options are limited. Whether if we were able to, and we are, I mean, and I don't want to speak out of turn here,
Yeah.
but you know, we are looking at some innovative ways of drying some of those solids more, so then can be used, from mixing with concrete to using as fertilizer and disposal.
Cool.
Yeah. So we are looking.
We're getting,
Mm.
I don't want
Yeah,
to get
yeah.
Sorry.
into details.
It's not my fault. So keep your board under control.
I'll be quiet.
That-
Question. So you probably might have read or will be read, because I did put a submission in around the water, because you mentioned an 18% increase, but I guess for houses like myself, where the owners are responsible for also putting in the connection from the house to the road, and depending on when I need to put my connection in, my rates will be a lot higher. Is there any cost modeling that Southern Water is doing to sort of understand the balance between affordability and servicing the debt? On your slide, I don't know what number it is, slide 5, like what is the period of time that you've used when you mentioned sharing across the generations? Like, yeah, and is that modeling sort of available for us to have a look at?
Well, it's not available now because it's not completed.
Okay.
And I mentioned before, they're still negotiating with the council or discussing, what land will transfer. We're
Right.
still negotiating on what is the infrastructure requirement to meet growth capacity. So it's really hard to do modeling when you potentially got a variance of $150 million.
Yeah.
So what we need to do is just kind of work through with the council, and we are doing that. Steve and I chair I think Steve chair, I just do the work. A operational working group with a kind of the heads of all of the key departments looking at all of that. So back to, that's what we need 12 more months.
Okay, so it's on the plan.
It's on the plan.
Alex, can I, I'm conscious of time ticking away. We've got 2 more slides to
Yeah,
talk
I'm
about
gonna
here.
hand over to Nisha now to complete that, and then we're done.
I'll be super quick.
And then I want to talk about a couple of things.
Yeah.
And we've got our submission that the board's done, so get from you guys.
Oh, sure. I just wanted to add to, as well as the strategy, we do have a couple of supporting documents that is out for engagement at the moment. And obviously that's our fees and charges policy that has the fees and charges schedule for the coming year in it that we would like feedback on. And also the waivers and remissions policy, which sets out how we would look at where how charges can be reduced or adjusted in certain situations. Customers might be facing some financial hardship and that sort of thing. So we're really keen to hear feedback on that.
I'll just ask you one thing about that, because traditionally councils have remitted rates for religious places like churches and I don't know about charities. Do they do charities?
Not sure, but yeah.
Then you get Ngāi who's a charity and they get paid no water.
Right.
So you can look at the fees and this thing. I was going to ask you that, but it's in the process of being. It's in that document.
That's right.
Yeah.
Question 6 or something.
Yeah, that policy will kind of help us to set up some processes to help people when they are in need, but also, as you said, we want to have some kind of good scrutiny of that to make sure we're not inadvertently cross-subsidizing, an organization doesn't need to be cross-subsidized.
Well, you're legislated against cross-subsidizing.
Yeah, across certain regions, but yeah, we want to make sure the costs are really distributed across the board and everyone pays what they're supposed to be paying.
I was going to ask if you were looking at the rainwater tank idea. Because that's in one of the Bangor Village, where every house is required to have a rainwater tank. Is that something we could look at district wide in order to reduce people's water costs?
Yeah, and I some of those in terms of kind of promoting good use of water is really important, but some of those items that sit probably more with the building consent part rather than
we'll put it this way, it depends on the size of the section.
Correct, yeah, so it is,
Well, villages around about 650, 750.
yeah.
But at Rolleston, you get down to 350, where are you gonna put your tank?
that's right, yeah.
It's sort of, you know,
So
can't go up in the air.
it's all good, you know,
Yeah.
that's the kind of thing we want to hear. So when we develop our plans or when we're working together with the council in terms of, you know, how we do, yeah.
Okay.
And lastly, just similar to what Claire from ECAN was talking about, and I know you are looking at perhaps submitting as board, which would be
Well,
great, and we really value
You've got one
that.
here,
Fabulous.
in a table to pass it today and go
Excellent.
to. Because June the 1st is just round the corner.
Yeah.
We did consider asking for the extension of time. We thought, well, no, we can give one to you.
One thing is important to keep in mind is, you know, this is not the only time you're going to hear from us, and it's not the only time we're going to hear from you.
Yeah.
So I mean, the strategy or the strategy proper will be built alongside the long-term plan. We're going to be here as often as you want us to be discussing how we can do this well. So
And last, I just want to say thank you, because I know that many of you have shared, we've obviously got our Darfield meeting tonight, so I look forward to seeing who can attend that. But thank you for sharing amongst your community and residents associations. So just wanted to say thank you for that.
And can I thank you, your team for coming, Alex? I think it's important that we get our ideas across to you, because, I mean, the things I hear locally, you know, you can see that everybody's paying for water, because I tell you what, there's a few gaps in the system still, so.
yeah, no.
Which you've inherited.
we are fully focused on you know, making sure that everyone is contributing what they should, because essentially, you know, your cost won't necessarily change that much, but you're spreading over a larger group of people, which means we'll have, you know, a reduction on individuals.
All right, any board members, anything else to comment?
Just on communication and the schedule for Darfield and Curlew sewage line, will you be planning to put up a more accurate timing around which year, which suburb will need to connect for residents to plan?
Yeah, and I think last time we were here, we were talking about, if you've got a septic tank, then, you know, we're not going to be asking you to connect, you know, before your
Well,
Resource
for
consent.
instance, there's a house getting built,
Yeah,
starting
that's right.
on Greendale Road, Crescent Place.
Yeah.
Foundations would go down. Yeah, that's a septic tank. Now, those people don't want to have to hook onto the water for 25 years. Now, you had to get around all that.
Well, and I think it will be just a case of, you know, confirming that we wouldn't be expecting them to connect, you know, before they need to renew that.
I want to hook onto it next year. It's environmentally irresponsible to be poking all that nitrate and stuff in through a septic
The
tank.
point is,
Yeah.
they're going to spend $30,000 getting
I
it to
know.
work.
Correct.
I know.
Yeah. So that's what I said. We wouldn't be, you know, we need to be pragmatic about.
But is
Well,
that
not
schedule
necessarily,
for
because there are composting toilets and other things that you can do that at that a lower cost option than that, although I don't know that Rob's department actually accepts those as takes those on board as acceptable solutions for building.
Canterbury, which is judged.
Beg your pardon.
Typically, it will come down to
Yeah.
the regional council conditions of each individual landowner. Some will actually have a specified condition in which says if a particular system becomes available, you must connect with that system.
Right. What about ones who never had a resource consent because they're that old? How do you know, if they've got a working septic tank system that's working perfectly fine, hardly never needs to get changed, why should they be compelled to connect to a system when they've already paid for a system out and there was never an end of life on it?
Or would Darfield, I'd be surprised if they're operating authorised without a consent. So they may be operating an unauthorised discharge to land.
Weekends were on our own property, absolutely surprised that there were any other houses built around us. They told us we were the only rural residential property on that whole block. And I said, well, hang on, mate, we built ages ago. You're charging us an inspection fee for a septic tank. You've never been out once.
All right,
And
Alan,
sorry.
I think we speak with Alex and his team, and then we've got this, our submission, our board submission. We
Thank you.
should, we've got-
We'll leave you now for the
Thank you.
discussion. Thank you very much for the invitation.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for more questions. Well, all the board members have got a copy of the submission that we sent into tell me what one of this is, and get there on time. I talked to Alan, was it Tuesday?
Yep, yeah.
And we thought about asking for an extension. We was advised not to follow that. I think it's important that we, as seen as a board, do what our job is, and that's.
It's a very good submission.
Now, I know it's coming late, and whether you, I've heard from 2 or 3, you've read it. Samantha's got a line or two that, is it clause 3 something, Samantha? This one that you want to look at, putting an additional one on. Your comment and email to me was.
So I guess the 3 sort of areas that I wanted to look at was the question that I'd already raised around scenario modeling around the cost of allocation. So if they're looking out to plan around affordability, can they think about scenario modeling between 20 and 30 years instead of the 10 years that they've used, or I think they've used, and I don't know if we are actually allowed to see that modelling, but Alex said that it can be shared when they get to it. Second thing is that sharing of costs with regards to future growth as part of the calculations, and how is that calculated? So is it just one generation paying for the installation of infrastructure, or do they think about the new development, new houses going in, and adding in the extra houses at the end of the 10 years or however many years in advance? Like, how is that modeling and sharing of that cost put together? And then thirdly, was what I touched on, was around clear timings and communications to the residents of when the lines are actually going in, so that residents can plan for that connection fee. So I guess in summary is adding another note around maybe planning, because it's a submission to a strategy document, a note and around providing sufficient planning to the residents so that we can have communication in advance around when those pipelines are coming in to our streets, so residents can plan for that connection fee.
Well, I think we've got that covered a wee bit in 3 or 4, 5.1. Investment priority framework. It's not quite as clear as perhaps it could be, but.
Yeah, so prioritization to me is just which would you be doing first and second and third, but what I'm wanting is actually a schedule in year 2027. You know, it's going down these streets, so all of Kirby will be done, that sort of schedule.
But if you take my own subdivision, and you know, the oldest there is 5 years, and I think the ECAN consent goes for, is it 18 years or something?
Yeah, it's not about the resource consent, it's understanding when the infrastructure will go past my house. Yeah.
And when you can build.
Yeah, so you're looking for a time, you're looking for a timeline.
For the schedule for the capital works.
So you could put in a 5.3 there, Ewan, that just says that it actually adds on to that 5.2, which is improves community understanding, and explanation of the time of the delivery timeline.
Delivery timeline.
I'll ask Steve if he can think of something.
Yes, something around
Barry's just now.
Delivery timeline. Yeah.
Delivery timeline.
And then we've got then how's it going to work? What expenditure you're going to have, and when's it going to happen?
A very basic question that I thought of last night, with relation to development contributions when they come in, is there a split between the DC, between the council and Selwyn Water, or does it all go to council?
So Selwyn Water are establishing the policies to attract their own development contributions for the water infrastructure, because that's no longer the ability for council to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
In other words, new consents issued for, let's say, developers, it'll be part of their costs.
So 2 lots of DCs.
Yeah,
So
one for roading over here for council.
It would be really good if it wasn't as grey as what the current SDC one is, please.
All right, well, then I move that this, with those amendments, Steve upping in there.
I've got some proposed recommendations if you'd like.
Certainly, all right.
That the Malvern Community Board approve the tabled submission to Selwyn Water Limited on their draft Selwyn Water Services strategy, and that any minor amendments are submitted in writing no later than 12 PM Friday, 29th of May to
Evan.
Evan, and then Evan can finalise the submission, and then that way you've got a chance to fire any minor amendments through that you've just discussed now.
Yeah, I think
So gives you a
the
degree of
email is with
flexibility.
Evan. Do you actually want me to write out the sentence to put in the submission or?
I think what you do is you'd actually write in the exact words you want
Okay,
to see,
Okay, yep, I can do that.
and then that way
Keep it brief.
copy everyone in.
Well, it's only another sentence, is
Did
do we
the-
want it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Uh,
Tomorrow,
so,
Yeah, yeah.
12 PM tomorrow midday, so you don't need to work at 1 PM, 1 AM on Saturday morning getting the
Good.
submission
Yeah.
through.
I'm going on holiday.
Great, so 12 PM, so lunchtime tomorrow, get all the feedback in to Evan,
Okay,
and then Evan can submit the submission on behalf of the board. Done it within time frame.
Solid job.
And
Thank you.
that's well, I've emailed you already, but that's an excellent submission.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, likewise.
It was
I
really good.
really like the detail, and it's really captured what I feel the community feels about this, and it's great to have the board accepting it pretty much without exception.
oh, well, thank you very much. I've got a bit of help as well.
Yeah, but that's
Boring to.
but that's what it's about, Evan, and I really do thank you for taking the lead on that.
Well, I got to the stage where I had to take initiative because
Yes.
I'm running out of time, so
Yep.
Yeah.
pulled a few levers here and there, got this.
Not using Chat GP, have you?
Pardon?
Not been using Chat GP, have you?
No.
So we need a seconder for that motion. Thank you,
Oh, second.
We've got John,
Anybody?
Happy to second it.
And I moved.
you did?
Yeah.
And all those in favour?
Hi.
Good, thanks very much.
Well done.
It's between the
That's
four
a
we got
tough
there.
Well, that's good, mate. Well, sound came in.
Well, look, we'll break for 10 minutes and stretch your legs, and we'll start back onto what we're on to next after that.
That'll be individual reports, is it?
Reports, yeah.
That document there, how do I lodge that?
I think what you'll find is you're sitting on some information from me in your inbox that answers all of those questions. We got 2 minutes, you know.
I might have it.
All right, well, thank you for your coming along.
Thank you.
Steve, that is, she's at that in there too widely.
I hope not.
Strikes the media with it.
I've seen it. The napkin, and yeah, Steve should be showing, we should be.
That's good. All right, page 26, the agenda. There's my report there that I've listed, and I'll take it as read and happy to ask any questions. People. If no questions, can I move it? I move it. Can I have a second of
You second it?
Thank you, Alan. Thanks so much. I've got the resolution. All in favour, aye.
Aye.
That's great. Thank you. Barry, you're next, aren't you? Yes.
Emily, okay. I've only got one thing I want to discuss really with it, and that's part that's with the Kia Conservation Trust and Forest and Bird meeting that we had in Arthur's Pass. We've at the village people up there have long been wanting a method that a legislative or some legal method that can be used to control human interaction with Kia,
Yes.
particularly, and so it's around feeding of Kia or encouraging of Kia, and so there are a number of issues up in this particular environment. Feeding encourages them to stay around, and then you've got issues with damage and aggregation of them and cluttering around. But there are other aspects to it as well, and that's about some of the resident or businesses' behaviours up there of not securing refuse, of leaving tables and things unattended, and Kia's doing that. There's been in the past, Kia's have people have fed them in their backyard, and that's not happening so much now. But we've looked at a number of ways of trying to manage the risk, and one of them we've been suggested is to use the Wildlife Act, but the Wildlife Act actually doesn't work to protect the wildlife itself. Generally, it works to protect humans from the interaction of the wildlife. So that's about them being of nuisance value. So if you look at the Wildlife Act about deer, it's about deer grazing, breaking fences, pigs rooting up crops and taking feed, etc. So
just to ask you, Alan, you're working with the legal, sorry, Barry, you're asking the legal team to have a look at it for you.
Yes, what we want to do is to be able to understand what steps need to be taken to create, for SDC to create a bylaw that would control practices of feeding Kia and Kia management in that environment.
Can I ask-
Like an instant fine.
Can I ask Steve to, has it ever been done anywhere else? Or is it a new idea?
But I don't know if a bylaw led by council has been established, because generally this is a doc issue.
No, it hasn't anywhere else because
Brand new,
yes, this is,
original.
yeah, yes, it is.
Yeah.
There are other places in the world where they do have this legislation though, but not particularly for care.
All right.
So I think
No, it's
what
not
our
here.
legal team will be doing on this, and probably in concert with Bob's team, is that the legalities of a bylaw being one, it's the practicality of the enforcement is the second one, and what does enforcement look like if this was possible legally? Practically, what does this look like? So that's what we'll be working through.
So what I'm really looking for is approval from the board to progress down the track with legal and see what could possibly be written.
Well, you work
this way.
through Steve.
Yes.
All
Yeah.
right, all right. That's all right. Anything else in the report?
No, that's
Do you want-
that's the main note. So
Well, if it's moved and seconded, that happens, doesn't it? But do we need to make a? Okay,
there is
you're working on it.
there's a group within council already, isn't there? Councillors that are looking at bylaws and updating bylaws, etc.
We've got our legal team lead the policy review function, and we're looking at bylaws, a range of our policies and making sure they're fit for purpose and up to date.
All right,
Right, so,
it's work in progress.
Yes,
And I think
yes.
that if you move your report now and we second it.
So yep, I'll move my report be taken as read. Thank you.
I can second. I can second.
Seconded Samantha, all in favour, say aye.
Aye.
I think it's carried, thank you. Now, Alan, you've got your report and you've got some recommendations to make.
I do have some recommendations I'd like to add on to this.
We'll have a copy of those recommendations.
I've got them here. I can give you them verbally as well, though.
Yeah.
I need to read out of those first. I've taken my report as read, please. It's a busy little month, covering some of Bex's stuff as well. In terms of a lot of the information that I've asked for in the report, Steve has already got on my inbox. So thank you very much, Steve, for your efficiency, which is wonderful. In terms of the resolutions, I had the first one related to Bengal Village process and the idea of putting land aside for a school. I note on their presentation that the land they wanted to set aside for the school happens to be where the majority of their small sections are, therefore the price would be reasonably high. The flip side of the coin comes to the farmland on the other side of Creek Road, which council already own, and the potential of subdividing some of that off to sell and water if necessary. But would that amount of land there give us a suitable area for a set of playing fields initially? So we put it aside as an educational reserve. I'm not sure, but it's pretty big on the map. Yeah, I mean, I have asked if limbs were issued relating to the properties on the northwest side of Creek Road. And they were. They know that that was set aside for observation ponds.
So the advice that the planning team have provided today is that properties within 500 metres of that site have a limb notification that identifies what the future use was. Now that was when it was oxidation ponds, but obviously now there's a connection to pines, and so that there is a difference.
Yeah.
But at the point in time that was available, that was the right information.
Cool.
Now, the second point, though, is that we're also under a stop plan change policy at the moment that's been put down by central government. So no plan changes can occur at this stage until the RMA and updated resource management.
Yes, so private plan changes can be progressed, but councils can't progress through anything. So
Right.
we have to wait for the original spatial plan and Kenbury land use plan after.
If we could then put, I don't know how you put it on a long-term plan, so that when you get a situation where you can do a plan change, could we potentially look at that for some of that land for mixed commercial residential use and an educational reserve, because that would cater for a lot of stuff we need to do in
Yeah.
Darfield.
So, one of your other questions, and I'm mindful we're getting in front of your resolutions now, Alan, but we might as well. Is that, this land was also earmarked for water infrastructure.
Yeah.
And so council and SWL are at the moment are working through a process of transitioning and transferring ownership of land from Selwyn District Council to Selwyn Water. This is one of those parcels.
Right.
And because Alex and his team, as you've just heard,
Yeah.
they're still mapping out what this looks like for them in the future. This land will transfer, but we don't quite know what they need and how much they need. So there's a little bit of a,
Yeah.
yes, we hear, but we've got a process to go through.
Yeah, because they wouldn't need as much anywhere near the amount of land that farm is at the moment.
Unlikely.
Well,
So if-
and this goes in, do we need to, can this just lie on the table now?
I think, yeah, look, if as long as council's aware of it and has got it in the system, that knows the questions being asked.
Yeah.
And this is part of that living document thing. We need to have some sort of system where we can see what's come up.
So
being proposed.
if, so Ellen's provided 3 recommendations or resolutions in relation to Bangor. And the team have got responses back in Ellen's inbox, but what we'll do is we'll, for public record, we'll note those in an action list.
Yeah.
And then that action list will then have the response to each of those questions for your next meeting. So it's publicly closed off. You feel comfortable?
Yeah, I'm comfortable.
But
with that.
Alan, you can also look at our responses and go, does that quite fit what you're after?
Yeah. So I mean, do I need to bring those in now so that they can be included in the minutes?
I think if you read them, and I'm emailing them now to Bipol, so they will be part of the minutes.
Excellent.
But if you read them out for your fellow board members.
Well, that was the first one. I'm sort of, yeah, they mix in together, so I'm not too panicky about that. Second one is the council write to NZTA and ask for cost to install pedestrian underpass across Bangor Road for safe movement of school pupils and other pedestrians, so that should Bangor Village development proceed, planning has already been commenced. So I mean, if an underpass is good enough for dairy cattle, it's good enough for our school kids. Shouldn't have said that, probably.
We know what you mean.
You know what I mean?
Intent.
Yes,
Intent.
yes, but that's
I
a
think-
matter of record for all time now.
I think Sam said, Samuel said a while back, it's somewhere else for them to vape and smoke.
All right, keep on going.
Secondly, the council talked to NZTA about sealing with some urgency the remaining section of Wards Road to heavy traffic standards and upgrading Clinton's Road to the same standards from State Highway 72 down in order to create a heavy traffic bypass around Darfield. Where you request that this should take place irrespective of Bangor Village being approved as being a fundamental step in increasing road safety and preserving the existing character of the Darfield Township.
The unformed piece of road from Charing Cross to Greendale Road is 5.9 K.
5.9 kilometres.
And the other Clintons Road is already tar sealed.
Yes, it is.
It needs a bit of a, but then really should go right through to Racecourse Hill, but
It should do, but
let's get this first 2 legs
first of
done.
the, yeah, if we could put that in, I mean, it might be that we have to put it into the long-term plan,
Well, I think that's where it goes. I
which
think
where it goes, but the sooner it was done,
The better.
given the traffic congestions, because like if we put that in place, then it gives people from Bangor Village, for instance, an alternative bypass to get into Christchurch. And likewise the people at Colgate as well.
Well, if you think about it, I mean, the upgrade of Rolleston by over, it's all, that's where it's gonna go. They go straight down Woods Road, Charing Cross, to the bypass over the, you know, it'll be in France, Philly, without
Yep.
between there.
Yeah, it just makes it makes so much sense. But it also, I mean, at the moment, like I think when Fonterra was sort of moved it, they talked about 100 vehicle movements a day in relation to Fonterra, and I suspect there's a hell of a lot more than that. And
Maybe twice that much now.
yeah, there's an awful lot of heavy traffic movement. This would cut a lot of that out and
Alright.
enhance safety.
Well, could you move your report?
I'd like to move that they be accepted.
Yeah,
and
and
put forward.
these resolutions go forward.
Yes, please.
What do you call them, resolutions?
Resolutions.
Yeah. All right, so Alan's moved that the put really fit and the resolutions go forward, and Steve's working on that now. second, please.
Yes, like a second.
Alan, sorry, Barry seconded. Any further discussion? All in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Samantha, you're next, I think, yes. Now, we've already done we've done the sister city thing, so we don't need that again, do we?
No.
And-
So I will just ask for my board report to be received for information, and I will just cover the highlights, please.
Yep.
Yep. So-
Happy to recommend that.
Moved Alan, seconded. Oh, he seconded it.
Thank you.
Sure. Oh,
So the first is to cover off the 3-year strategy plan. So the strategy plan has been published on the SDC website for broader community feedback. A date was set on the document to be the 15th of May for all feedback to come through. And so I have collated the feedback. The next step is for MCB to meet and review the collated feedback and agree on the necessary changes. So can I suggest that the board meets on an online meeting on Thursday, the 11th of June at about 2 p.m.
yeah, we got some
or
dates.
Friday
We
or
got-
3 p.m.
we got
or
some-
Friday.
No, we got
No, neither.
Neither? Okay.
Not that
The
week.
following
Not that week, please. I'm away on the 10th through the 5th, coming back on the Tuesday.
What about the following
Yeah,
Thursday?
Yeah, following Thursday.
Okay.
Fine.
what dates that, Samantha, please?
I don't.
18th,
Zoom meeting.
an online meeting. Does that suit everyone?
Yeah.
Brilliant. 18th.
At what, 9 o'clock,
Cool.
9:30,
At 2 o'clock.
up to o'clock.
Does that time suit everyone?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you for that. I will send out a meeting invite. Malvern Community Awards planning. So we've met as a board. We've done initial planning and made some decisions, which has been fabulous. We're moving progressing very well through the planning stage for the awards in October. So the draft budget that can be revised is sitting at 2,300 at the moment. 300 for advertising, $10 for printing, approximately 1,400 for catering. The venue hire is 176, and I did include a $500 for photographer, which can be reduced out of the budget to try and reduce the budget.
Can I make a comment about the catering?
Sure.
We're not feeding them, are we? I mean, I'm just wondering, do we just do tea and coffee and bickies?
Yeah, we
and
can.
finger food and just walk around, like, and I could get someone to do that. Well, I think it's work in progress. It's not, I don't want you to sign someone on until we have another look at it.
No, that's we've had 4 quotes. They're all about the same.
But what are we getting for the quotes, sir? What are we getting?
Yeah, we're getting savoury sandwiches
Yeah,
and
so
a
it's
few
more
mince
than
pies.
just bickies and tea.
Yeah, I can send through all the quotes. They're all about the same, and it's not a lot of food. It's just a couple of sandwiches and slices.
How many people are we covering?
I catered for 80 people, which was the same amount of people that was at the previous event. Yeah.
All right, we just we've got time to fine tune that.
We have time to fine tune that, and I think I'm hearing that 1,400 is probably a little bit more than what we would like, so we can come up with an option.
Yeah.
Plan B.
I have a pet photographer that'll probably do it for nothing.
Yep.
And then there's Tony. We'll probably do it for nothing as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we've all got input into this.
Yeah.
And I think we've
Yes.
got time to do it.
Yeah, we have.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I guess what I was trying to understand, and the reason I was trying to understand the budget for the past events is just to get an understanding of comparison.
Mm.
All right.
Yeah,
okay, we'll move on
But I
from
don't
that.
have a comparison.
Yeah.
All right, so so that's where I'm at with the planning for the community awards, and keep moving forward. On my report, you bet to Sister City. So thank you very much to Kieran and Charlotta that came to talk to us. They've been very good, and I have met them, and we walked the Sister City garden, and Charlotta's organised the cherry blossom tree to be planted in spring, and she's organised the plaque to go in. The action is actually sitting with myself to confirm the Japanese writing,
Yeah.
which I will be doing with Sumi in the next couple of days, and then I will go back to them to firm it up, and it will progress forward.
All right, well, I think we've done that, haven't we?
Yeah.
Now,
Community focused updates, Suffolk Drive. So again, thanks to council and to Gareth for putting in the giveaway sign so promptly. And that was as a request to community, and them also wanting the white lines, which is planned for.
well, we can take that as read, can't we? Because I think it's results are happening, aren't they? Yeah.
Yes, so I guess I just would like to communicate to the residents who's watching that, yeah, the footpaths have also been requested, is also going to be fixed up between Hoskins Road and Suffolk Drive. The one that it is still opened is the Kirwi Cemetery Reserve, where a plan is being progressed with putting the trees and removing some dead trees, and we are and also the Kirwi Anzac Lane culvert that needs the grass seeds to be resown is in progress. So we're just working on the pine trees, which they are still working on.
Mhm. Yep.
Problem?
All right, well, you finished?
I'm feeling very rushed here. I think that is the end of my report. Cool.
Board members, anything to ask, any clarification from Samantha on any particular things that we've brushed over?
Yeah, you've done some really good work on the safety concerns at State Highway 73 Courtney Road. How do we go about getting them to the NZTA to pay attention to the bottom of the Aylesbury Strait and the one where Bailey Road comes in? Because that is very dangerous.
It's a resolution from this board.
We've already done a resolution on it.
Yeah, I think, and if you recall, I think James gave you a pretty unfortunately clear answer that
Yeah, I know.
if it's not on the national program, it's unlikely to progress. The way in which we've actually been able to implement the changes on the local roading network is because council are in control of that. And we can, when there's a reasonable pace, there's community need, and we've got the budget, and we can make some pretty quick decisions, and that's the benefit of localised.
I've got the same problem with Mr. Kagan.
Yeah. And it's not to say that it's James's fault. I think he's constrained by national legislation and the way in which NZTA must make their prioritisation of the national.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. Someone's gonna get killed there.
Cool.
John.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I would suggest, I heard what James said, that if the board was mindful, they could perhaps do a little bit of a survey and get some quantitative data and then put it back to the board and actually write to NZTA. Because
showing them what they've got.
Well, is it being forwarded to NZTA? Because I would say it'd be a shame not to forward it so it's on file if we've got the work done. Even if it goes nowhere.
I thought you were going to suggest we go down there in the early hours of the morning and strike the road ourselves.
Well, I think that the community's got enough surveys and things to do with soil and water.
I'm just going to do some observations, but we've got some data. Main point was, I think it's worthwhile the board officially communicating the concerns to NZTA.
Yeah.
Well, can we put that on next month's meeting? How to do what to do there? But your Courtney one, Samantha, that's.
So the Courtney Road is sitting with NZTA, so they have submitted the funding.
That's opposite 60 acres.
Yeah, on the corner of State Highway and Courtney Road. Yeah. So how I got that through, I think that was the question Ellen was asking me, was that I went through the NZTA database for traffic accidents.
Yeah.
And confirmed with NZTA around the risk rating. And the risk rating was a medium high. They agreed to look at it. And now we're just waiting for the funding allocation. So it may go through or it may not,
Right.
but it's sitting with NZTA. But that's how I got it to that point, is assessing the risk for the junction.
Yeah.
How many traffic accidents and taking that data back to
Right.
NZTA.
That's the problem that I've got with the other sparsing, is that we don't have the statistical information. We only have an assessment of risk, which doesn't cut the threshold.
So I should be to go down to the intersection we're concerned with and have a look at that then on the same data. They should.
Yeah,
put that
it's
data
on
up.
on the NZTA
Yeah, we've got.
website. It's a link.
I think
And
Right.
Just click on the link and put the address in,
Yeah,
and it shows you little dots of where the
cool.
accident has occurred.
Just as a question there, how they managed to have a head-on accident there?
It's not a hit. Oh, you're referring to the car on the side of the road? I'm unsure.
Oh, yeah, I saw that too.
Is it recently?
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah,
don't before you stay.
very munded, dead in the front.
But
Right. Yeah.
Right, well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
John?
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, very seconded.
Keep us honest.
All right, John, you've got a,
I'll move that have been taken as read, and would just like to add that in the last 10 minutes, you should have got an email that shows you that the speed limit on Bangor Road down to Oakton Drive has now been reduced to 50 kilometres an hour. And that happened a couple of days ago. And if you've read the press, another social media, Darfield Hospital is now providing respite care again. So the advocacy has had benefits. Any questions?
yeah, the fine print is the answer. If you read the very last line of the press article in today's paper, it says the future of the hospital will be decided later this year. Tells you what's happening, and it's just one line there, one column width. So
What
either
did it say?
the future of the hospital
Oh.
will be decided this year, later this year. Now, whether that's just press reporting, and also that reporter thinks that Harvey is chairman of the Darfield Community.
That's been corrected.
Good. The on subject of health, Nicola Willis forwarded the questions to the minister in relation to that we left at the health meeting, and I understand. Nicola Griggs, sorry. Yeah, I apologise. Yeah, and it sounds like they're interested in talking further or investigating further the idea of a community health response.
And John, you can update that, what your local thing was, the other trust that was on that.
Yeah, Steve, do you want to make a comment?
After you.
There's a meeting of 2 or 3 people, sort of on the 24th of June, with the district nurses and somebody from the health trust and friends of the hospital, just to have a look, because my understanding, which may or may not be confirmed, is that council are looking at sort of taking a proactive role in getting some improvement in utilisation of health services.
That's
I don't have anything to comment on.
no, nothing further to add.
It's just my understanding.
All right, well, thank you, councillor Berry. Been moved and seconded.
I'll second it.
All in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, very thank you. Got that.
We got there. We got there. So my last report, I'm just going to take it as read. I'm happy to answer any questions on that.
Is this the financial one?
Yeah.
Well, we moved to go to $1.70, haven't we done already?
So what we've done is we've approved the future year's budget.
$27,
Yeah, and that's targeted rate for the 27 on the basis, but this is just your budget report year to date.
And you're going to give us a paper about the travel thing.
Yeah, but I think the best thing the board could do is start to come up with what are the questions, what are the meetings that you want to have to say, well, if we're doing these meetings, then yes, travel. If you're not doing these meetings, then not. And then an approval or awareness process that everyone can kind of be on the same page, just because it's a bit tight.
I can report that we have got 2 caps sold already.
Well done.
The response to them was very positive up at the post shop, and they'd sold 2 already, so I was quite stoked with that.
Yeah.
All right,
So over in a second.
move in a second for the financial report.
I'll move that.
Moved,
I'll second.
Gary, and seconded Samantha. All in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Carried. Thank you.
Now we've covered off all the items that were noted in general business. So
Oh, actually, I did have a discussion point. I did have a discussion point on the next page.
Sorry about that, Samantha. Let's have a look here.
And it's to do with the detail expenses for Sister City. So in November, the board via email approved $228 spent on Sister City gifts. Yeah, and I just noticed in the March report that it went from 228 to 408. So just in the last few days through my inquiries, that 228 that was that we signed off in November had some missing expenses to it, so it should have been the 408. So I guess it's just understanding on the process whether we just document that there's been a I guess a miscommunication on the
Okay.
on the gifts,
As a
and it's
recipient-
actually 408, or do we need to re-approve the 408?
Have they been paid?
Yeah.
And how much total?
So the total is 408. So
$408.
yeah, but it was spent in November, not spent in March, when it
Still
appeared in the report, I
I
guess.
think the fact that we've monitored it, I think will be enough, because
Okay,
the board, I don't think the board was setting a financial limit, they were setting approval for the expenditure. to
Yeah,
be
that's exactly right.
Right.
And the fact that the expenditure moved still means that the principle was the same.
Yeah.
brilliant.
But if
Thank
the
you.
board are comfortable with that, then we can just make a note.
Minute, yeah. Thank
Alright.
you.
That's good.
In the final way. So my understanding is that the sister city is looking at doing a visit to Japan and China later this year, next year, 27.
So it came back,
27.
it came back as the feedback for, and through the strategy plan, to make a change to suggest the MCB visit Japan, Yubetsu, in 2027. And so that will form part of our agenda when we meet in a couple of weeks to go through that feedback, yeah. And yeah, and understand the cost and what's involved, yes,
Well, it's been it's always been people pay their own way.
that's correct, yes.
There's some
We are,
question about insurance, perhaps, whether we can get under council policies.
I think I asked that questions last month and it has been, Steve's answered it, so it's under our
Yeah,
risk,
individual.
individual risk if we travel, yes.
All right. Oh, well, I think that we've got everything covered.
Hmm.
And move reasonably close. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your
Thank
attendance.
you.
For what covered today, that was really good.